Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Toria.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic. So, automation on Instagram.
It's
took
awesome.
A dump.
Just kidding. It's not
took
awesome.
A dump.
Took a royal shit.
So I don't understand though. As you know, everybody, I do programming for a living, and
do you?
I certainly wouldn't offer the ability to do automation on my platform if I didn't want people to do automation on my platform.
Oh, I know, it's bullshit. It's just ultimate crap.
It's like having a restaurant that you put like 5 different kinds of hamburgers on the menu, and then you say, and then when someone orders a hamburger, you say, "Now we don't make hamburgers. Get out!
Yeah.
How dare you order a hamburger? Get out!" That's what they're doing.
I think automation is one of the most threatening things to most people who are not going to ever touch code. It's a threat to their livelihood. If you can't code and you're not going to learn how, you better find a job today that's not going to go out of this style resume in the next 20 years, because automation is about to take shit by the fucking you-know-what, like in every way.
Hold on a second. Who's that mysterious voice?
I recognize that voice. Who is that?
Do you? Looks like Jackson. I don't know.
It's Jackson Horn, the guy that likes to change his Instagram name on a daily basis like his clothing. Question for you. Do you even know what we're talking about when we talk about automation? Like, seriously, do you know what we're talking about? I don't think you know what we're talking about.
Are you really asking this question right now?
Yeah, because your comment doesn't make sense to me. Come on. What were you talking about? Come on, tell me. He's going to sit back down.
You said automation on Facebook, which could imply...
No, on Instagram. On Instagram. So what it is there are millions of these bots that are out there that can like and follow people. And there's one in particular, but I'm not going to name it because I don't want to get them in trouble. But they're really good. They're really good at, well, put it to this way. Don't comment with them because they're stupid. But finding people that fit a niche that you like, they're almost too good. But Instagram offers this capability for people to automate their process, and then they bitch and moan that people are using it to grow their following, and they try to say that it's the same thing as buying followers. I'm sorry. All it really is if you want to grow followers on Instagram, you have to go around, you have to find people that you have to like their posts, you have to follow them, and you have to get them to follow you back. How is that? All this is with automation is instead of being able to do, let's say, 30 people in an hour, they can do 300 people in an hour. It's the only difference. It's no different. It's not like if it was artificial intelligence, I would be a little afraid by that. But come on, what the hell? I mean, I don't get it.
Well, you still do 30 people in an hour, except for you get to spend that hour doing something exponentially more productive than liking posts on Instagram.
It really does seem like Instagram depends on your level of clout, as they're now calling it, which is and it's like, I'm just thinking, well, if clout is the one thing that makes you care about following me, then I say you're looking at the wrong thing. Like, what if I don't want to have clout? What if I'm just here being myself and I happen to know shit and you think I should have clout? Like, isn't that your problem? And I think people just look for the wrong influences, and it's like, you know, I mean, I've been unfollowing celebrities every day. I just unfollow every 5 minutes, and it makes me happier because I don't care about their clout.
Yeah, you know, you're right about that. And like, what's sort of stupid is they put like this 10,000 follower level before you can have like the swipe up feature. I think that's dumb. I think the whole idea that they don't allow hyperlinks inside of the posts themselves is stupid, because what they're really trying to do is avoid it being used for business purposes. Yet they continue to push their advertisement sales on me on a daily basis because I have a business account. If you don't want businesses, why make business accounts? And if you don't want businesses, why force us to advertise? If you don't want people to automate, don't give automation. It just seems like a basic concept to me. And did you hear that they want to remove likes entirely from the platform. Like no more likes. What the hell are you going to do on Instagram? Just keep scrolling and never touch a picture and just, oh, look, there's a pretty picture. Oh, there's another pretty picture. There's another. Like, how are people even going to know you looked at it? You're going to comment on every picture? Not me.
Listen, this is the way I look at Instagram these days. It's very simple. The only reason why any of us get on Instagram is to see what other people are doing with their life that we're not doing with our own life. Why the fuck else would you like anything that you can't have it for your own self? If you see a bunch of people who are at a bar and you're not there, then just go to the bar on your own tomorrow. Like, fuck their picture. Fuck their story too. Like, I don't care what happened. I want to go do it. Like, I'm just going to sit here and look at everyone's life while I sit here and do nothing with mine. That makes perfect sense. That's why Instagram is so powerful. Because like, we all just sit here and we're like, I kind of like the fact that likes are going to go if they do go, because for videos, if you watch it and then you like it, what is that? It's just, you just emphasize support twice. I don't know.
So speaking of life, it's been a while since we talked to you. Why don't you catch us up on what you've been up to?
I have moved into a new condo and graduated my software development program finally. And my best friend of like a decade, or more, his fiance of 4 years left him very abruptly recently. So he and I have been kind of rekindling our brotherhood, because when she was around, it was harder to, just do anything like men. And so now he recently just offered me to pay $450 a month on his couch. And it's an awkward time for me because my dad's about to buy me a new car. It's a very, very inexpensive car just to work for Lyft and Uber. If I work for Lyft and Uber for like 2 months straight or less, I can make enough money for first month's rent in Denver, and then I can get my job in the interim and then just go there. And that's kind of my plan at this point.
Cool. So you kept alluding to some big news you have. Is that the big news?
That's like the biggest news right now. But some other funny news. Somebody in a Lyft car. Sorry, not a Lyft car. Somebody in my Lyft, they accused me of being high while I was driving. And what's important is that Lyft did believe them and they rehired me. That's what's important about this. And I was very scared about that. But yeah, whoever you are, if you reported me, you have no fucking life. I hope your cat dies. So,
we once had to go like maybe 15 minutes away to pick up a car at a car dealer. And we got into the car, and about 5 minutes into the drive, it was quite obvious that the guy was extremely stoned. It smelled like he had a pound of marijuana in the trunk of the car. And we did report that because he drove rather erratically. And I later found out that they like gave me a status, and they basically just warned him, which I thought was kind of shocking because, as they cover you with commercial insurance when you're driving. So if you got into an accident because you were high, their insurance is on the hook.
Yeah, and that's what I told Lyft. I was like, look, I don't know what this person thought they knew about me, but like, look at I'm a 4.95 plus driver. Like, and there's no police report, and there's no accident report, and there's no evidence of any kind. So this is just an allegation that someone felt the need to put out there because they felt mad about something else. So if I don't get in a wreck and I don't drive erratically, like, what are you bitching about?
Like 3 years ago, I used to drive for Lyft. And there was a morning, I was out at the morning rush, and I got this call to come pick up this lady. And I go to pick up the lady, and, the thing starts ticking down the 5-minute wait time. And I message the lady, where are you? She doesn't respond. I'm here waiting for you. She doesn't respond. So I said, all right, I'm waiting. The 5 minutes ends. I leave. I literally got like a block away, and the same lady calls for a lift again. And I thought, okay, this has to be a joke. And I go back and I pick her up, and she's all apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see the notice that said you were here. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't see the 3 messages I sent you as well during the 5 minutes time. And she got in the car. And then, at the time I had like a 5.0 rating, and all of a sudden my rating went down, and I was like, aha, this lady dinged me. And so I called and I complained. And you know what they told me? We see where you sent her messages. We see where you waited for 5 minutes, but she did complain that you didn't wait for her. So we have to put that rating in there. And I told them at the time, that's really stupid. If you have on record that I waited the time that you tell me to wait, and I sent her messages telling her I was there, why would you count that against me? But it's because everything's based off of that, that rating for your bonuses and everything. And they don't want to pay you. They just don't want to pay you. That's really what the truth is.
The craziest thing about this is like, I called Lyft recently, and I was like, hey, look at my rating. It's, this. And I said, why did it go down like this? And then they said, oh, well, yesterday you got a 4-star, but I went ahead and removed it for you. I'm like, thanks. Back to 4.98. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they know what they're up to. But so what else is new? I mean, so your plans are to get a programming job somewhere.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to go for weedmaps.com because I don't want to be drug tested because I like to smoke pot.
They're based here. They're based in Orange County. Big company.
Orange County, California?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're based right here, right up the road.
California.
Well, I don't recommend it to anybody because we're in 3 years, when my youngest graduates, we're out of the state. We're gone.
I heard that Cali's trying to go into 3 states.
They tried that in the last election, but it didn't even get on the ballot because there's some legal issues. The problem is, people don't seem to realize, is when you create a state, you create a constitution, and that constitution has certain rules for how you can handle issues like that. Yeah. And it clearly doesn't say in it, and if you ever want to split into 3 states, go for it. So the courts get in the way and complain about it.
Yeah.
I just realized I was talking and I was muted. My apologies.
Well, this has been a very professional episode so far. I'm really proud of it.
Guys, but if you want to hear more, I guess, material from me, like I've realized my plan at nearly 25 is this. It's as simple as it gets. I'm going to work for Lyft until I have enough money to move to Denver, pay off my debts, go to Denver, be a software developer until I can afford to train jiu-jitsu, work on comedy on the side. And then I'm going to design an Angular web app that's going to, in my opinion, beat TripAdvisor. And that's going to happen in a couple of years. So if I can even get a hair close to beating TripAdvisor, I'm going to be rich. And I might have to let my best friend be the cybersecurity, chief of staff, or whatever you call that. I don't even know you call that job title.
It's called a CIO.
Penetration tester or whatever. Yeah. But that's the job title for penetration. No, that's actually a job title. That's not a sexual pun. Like that's actually what they're called. They penetrate, networks to see if they can be, infiltrated.
I've been in IT for 30 years, right?
I know. We I met a recruiter on LinkedIn recently.
A recruiter on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I gave a Lyft right to her and she gave me her LinkedIn. She's like, "Oh my God, apply." I'm like, I want to apply, but I can't work in Texas, lady. Like, I don't want to fucking work here. Like, look around. There's not shit to do. It's bars and restaurants. Yeah. But no,
we talked last time about why you're going to Denver.
I'm not going anymore to escape my father. My father and I are cool. Honestly, most of the problems we had were my problems. I was just mad at him. And now I'm like, Dad, what the fuck was I mad at you for? Like, sure, he's tough. Sure, he's, negative. I mean, sure, he can be a lot of things, but he's not a bad dad. That was my fault for thinking that.
Well, that's mature of you to admit that. And if Tori would ever say anything, it would probably make this episode a slightly bit better.
And you called me the unprofessional one.
No, this is what's crazy about, this is what's so crazy. And I want to express this for anybody out there who actually has gone through this or is going through this. When you're so I'm 24, going to 25. I have a fuck load of energy. I like to do what I want to do. And if you don't like it, then I don't give a fuck. That's kind of how my personality is. It's not to say like what you like is less important. It's just like, if you don't like it, that's fine, but I like this, so I'm going to do this regardless. So I don't know if you're a girl or guy, if you're transgender, I don't know what your life is like, but here's what I tell you. You're going to go through, you may or may not go through periods when you really think your parents are the dumbest fucking idiots alive, but really, they've lived longer. So they're sitting there, they're really sitting there watching you, trying to make your own mind up. That's what that feeling is. You feel like you're lost. You're not really lost. You're just trying to wait to figure out what you're going to do. And when you figure out what you're going to do, you then stop blaming other people for your problems. That's really what that's why life is so fucking great. Because when you stop pointing the finger at everyone but yourself, you really can grow.
Well, and I think that one of the reasons why being a parent is one of the hardest jobs, if you do it right, is because your job is really, when kids are younger, is like basically the only way I can put it is keep them alive, make sure that they don't walk out in front of a car.
Yeah.
And, you're trying to teach them how to fend for themselves. Then once they're able to fend for themselves, then you kind of have to sit back and you have to be like, okay, I taught them the right things to do. I taught them how to act. Now what they need to do is make their own decisions. And that's the hardest thing to do as a parent, is let your kid make decisions. But the whole point is, as long as you're around as a parent, then the kid has you there for support. And that kid could be 30 years old, for crying out loud. It doesn't matter. They have you there for support. And that's what you want, is you want them to make those kind of mistakes when they're younger and live life and experience things. And that way, hopefully they mature and they learn, and everybody grows at a different rate, right? But as a parent, Your job is not to like tell them what to do and what not to do. That's called control. And you shouldn't ever want to control anyone.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, husband, wife, doesn't matter. Son, daughter, shouldn't want to control them. That's a real problem when you want to control somebody. I think that you really focus on helping that person grow as an individual. And if you've done the right thing when they're younger, it'll eventually come around and happen. Problem is that certain parents try to influence everything that their kid does. Tell them to go do this, go join a club at school. Go, you need to live at this place and not that place. Those things make me angry. Forcing people to do things is not kind of in my nature. I don't really like to force people to do things. I think it's ridiculous. But I wanted to ask you a question. Why the hell did you change your Instagram name again after promising me you wouldn't do it? Speaking
Jackson.
of force, I want to hear the story because here's the thing about this guy, people. He sometimes seems like he does things for totally random reasons. But when you ask him the question, it isn't really so random. It might seem random, but he has a reason. So I want to know, what's your reason?
It just sounds a bit too plain. And Jackson Horn is the closest thing I can get to. Because if you look at like the best celebrities, some of them just have their name in there. So I'm thinking, you know what? If I ever make it big, people are not going to give a fuck about comedic Jackson Horn because my post will reflect that. They're going to know just Jackson Horn is a lot cleaner. I feel like the Jackson kind of makes you think, oh, there's an O. It's just kind of catchy, but honestly, to really clear some wires out, like we said earlier with clout, people on Instagram are not going to follow me if I'm funny. They're going to follow me if I have money and I'm funny. So I can be funny all day. No one's going to give a fuck until I have money to show up to back it up. So yeah, honestly, Instagram is like 5% of my concern at this point. Recently I started doing battle raps on there. I started doing like slam poetry. It's fun as fuck. So
interesting.
I watched a movie called Bodied. It's produced by Eminem. It's basically a bunch of battle rappers, and battle rap is really fun. But Mike, earlier you said, you mentioned individual growth, and I was, this is insane conversation revealed on the nightly rant. So I'm going to go ahead and try to swerve the conversation. If y'all want to exit it, that's your choice, but I want to try to bite.
Ruh-roh.
I want to try to bite, but we'll have some time. Guys, I can't tell you both that I'm still a Trump supporter. I don't think that I'm any longer currently supporting Trump 100%. I think I'm still on the right, but I think Trump is fucking up. His rhetoric is ridiculous. And
wow.
The only like one today I read this. He actually signed an executive order to have all disabled veterans student loan debt forgiven, period. He signed that executive order. I just think that Trump has a very dangerous temperament, but he's also not an idiot, which makes it really hard to figure out, if he's ever going to get it right. And that was almost the rhyme.
Well, what prompted this? Like, what's causing you to feel this way?
Honestly, talking to people I respect seem to think that Trump's really divisive. I don't think he's divisive. I think that people choose to think that way because how can one person divide you? It's your choice. It's your choice as a man or woman to divide yourself. If you want to let someone's words do it for you, that's your choice. But I don't think he's divisive. I think people want to think that and they make it the reality. But past that, this recession, I'm worried about a recession too, because that just came up too. And the inverted yield curve is, or the yield curve is inverted. And so now I'm a bit worried, but I'm also not worried because I'm going to have a software developer job. So,
Well, maybe that's made up by the media.
I don't know. I'm not all into everything's fake. If it's on Vox or if it's on somewhere, it's probably not complete bullshit. Someone's, but yeah, I think I might. I'm actually pretty interested in Andrew Yang right now. I don't know why, but I think that he might have some solutions. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I just know that I'm not on the right anymore. Like Trump's temperament used to like turn me on, and I'm like, what the fuck? He's insane. It's just I pay so much attention to politics, and to me, it just seems like the right wants more money. It seems like the left wants more handouts. That's how I see it at this point. The right wants more tax cuts. The left wants more handouts. I don't know how else to see it. I can't see it any other way. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You still haven't answered my question though. What specific issue has Trump been involved in that you think he screwed up? Because you said earlier that he screwed up. And before we go any further, I have this thing about I attract weirdos who think that because I ask questions like this that instantly I'm a Trump supporter. Did not vote for the guy, won't vote for the guy the next time, didn't really want a reality show star to be president in the first place. And I'm sorry, but the president of the United States does not need to be a businessman, just doesn't. I mean, I voted for Obama the first time because I thought he sounded interesting, but then I saw what a bozo he was and how divisive he actually was, and didn't vote for him the second time around. So I'm curious, like, I can see how, if you think what I'm saying, I voted for a president and then the next time didn't, and you said you voted for him and next time might not.
Yeah.
What specific reason do you have for that? What did he do specifically that bothers you?
Okay. I'll answer your question 100% this time. Well, I hope I answer it in a way you appreciate. No,
as long as it's an answer to the question, I don't care. But there is no right or wrong answer here, right? Because it's about your feelings. Why do you feel that way?
So in my view, a president of any gender should come into office and they should have an objective to not stir shit up. If they have to stir shit up, it's because they have to get shit done a certain way. So Trump has basically, he's had several court cases go all the way to the Supreme Court, at least one. The wall was at least one case. I don't know about other cases, but Trump just stirs shit up too much. Like, I wish somebody could go in there and be tough, be uncompromising, and be compassionate and diligent without the fucking rhetoric. The rhetoric is like 5-year-old level. It's honestly annoying at this point. Like, I don't get offended by it. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Stop. It's like just sound more mature, or take DMT, do something. And so, like, it's really just the way he approaches his career. I'm just like, man. So is that answering your question?
Yeah, but what I would say to that, because
that's still wrong?
No, it's not wrong. There's no wrong. It's your opinion. And I mean, I'm not going to say whether I agree or don't agree because quite honestly, I think it's an interesting opinion. I think that he went into this saying that he was going to drain the swamp, which is just another way of saying I'm going to expose the corruption that exists. Mm-hmm. And I personally think, like, I'll give you an example. So we have a city council member here in our city who stole $100,000 worth of campaign donations and didn't report them. Then of the $200,000 that she did report, she took $80,000 of it and said she spent it on an office that doesn't exist. And so we're trying to recall her. And we wanted to get the support of the Orange County Republican Party. And so we sent them all the evidence and they said, well, but all this stuff happened before she was elected. We're not worried about that. We are only worried about things that happened after she was in office. Well, these are people who fought really hard to recall another guy because he voted yes on something they wanted him to vote no on. That's his only mistake. He voted yes on something he wanted him to vote no on. We're showing them that this lady intimidated voters into voting for her. She goes after private citizens and threatens them with lawsuits if they embarrass her at a city council meeting. She stole a crap ton of money. And
she
so you know what that
drives by and takes creepy pictures of people's houses.
Yeah, she drives by people's houses and takes pictures of it. And you know what that makes those people in the GOP of Orange County? Makes them pussies because they don't want to fight the battle. They don't want to fight the battle. They don't want to call they don't want to call the bullshit out. And sometimes when there's corruption, you have to just be like, you know, what the hell? Okay, give you an example. Don't agree with the whole they should go back to where they came from comment. That was not very well thought out. But I get the point. Like the one lady is a U.S. House of Representatives member. And then she's saying, oh, the United States were just nothing but warmongers. Well, guess what? You represent us. You get to vote against war if you want to. Stop. Your approach is shitty. Don't act like that. You almost should be removed from office because of that. I think some of what you say is true. And I think some of what you say I disagree with. I think he's definitely childish. I think someone should take his damn Twitter account and shut it down. Like, seriously, if I was his chief of staff, I would change the password and then I don't know what happened.
When you're dealing with someone as narcissistic as Donald Trump, taking his Twitter away will only make, like, if Twitter, I mean, honestly, like, this whole fucking country right now is just like, to me, it's more interesting and funny than it is like horrible and like negative. Cause everyone's fucking mad about this guy in office, but then there's this whole group of people who are all like, y'all are fucking emotional idiots. He's doing a good job. And it's like, it's such a mindfuck. Like, it's interesting as fuck to witness this. Like, we've got this guy with this fucking baby face. Look, I don't even know. I can't, it's so.
He looks like a Cheeto. Let's be real. A Cheeto.
It's just like okay, you know what? I can hit your question with this answer. When he tells people that I think it was on like Jimmy Kimmel Live or some shit, they asked Trump and Ivanka, hey, what do y'all share in common? Ivanka said golfing and real estate. Trump said, well, I was going to say sex. What the fuck, Trump?
He's a man, though. But he's a man. You have to remember something. Okay. This is something that you young puppies don't understand. When back in the day, when people were, born in like the 40s, that's kind of how they grew up and how they acted. I have an ex-wife and she had a stepdad who was 10 years ago. He was like late 70s. And we once went to a barbecue restaurant and, of course, because a barbecue restaurant, they kind of have like a Western themed dress for the waitresses. Their skirts are like 12 sizes too short for their actual size. And she came in, like typical waitress, delivers the food, then comes back later and says, is there anything else I can get you? And he said to her, yes, tell me what time you get off work. Now, what the hell is a 78-year-old man saying that to a 19-year-old girl in the first place? It was acceptable in their time. And so you kind of can't hold them responsible for what they were taught while they were growing up. I think that's a lot of where Trump's BS comes from. Yeah, he should know better. He should keep his mouth shut. Like I said, if I was his chief of staff, I would go into his Twitter account. I would change the recovery email to something he would never know. And then I would change his password. I don't know, boss. I don't know what happened. Can't get it changed for you. Sorry. I mean, I'm surprised Twitter, I'm going to tell you what, if he wasn't the president of the United States and he still said all the same stuff, Twitter would have shut his account down a long time ago, like a long, long time ago. And he's got issues. He definitely has. I mean, I honestly think the guy has some mental problems. I really do. I think there's something in the head that's not right.
Yeah. Narcissism is a fucking, I've heard a psychologist on YouTube live say that narcissism is a recipe for success because you do not care how people will be affected by your actions. I mean, that's a fucking fact. I've literally, the one I'm still trying to wrestle with is that Trump's racist or sexist. This is all I'm going to say about that. If Trump is a racist, he sucks at doing it. He fucking, honestly, he fucking
Agreed.
sucks at, he sucks at it. Cause why help A$AP Rocky get out of jail? Why fuck with Ben Carson? And this is what's crazy. It's people calling Trump racist. I'm almost scared because they don't even know what the word means that they're calling him racist. Racism, right. This is racism. I'll tell you what racism is in this short story. If I'm working at my own 7-Eleven and I see a white guy and a black guy and it's 5 minutes before close. If I let the white guy in solely because he's white 5 minutes before close, that is racism. That's what racism is. But if Trump tells 4 congresswomen who are not from, who are from America to go back to where they came from, that's just ignorance. That's not racist. It's I don't see how that's racism. He didn't tell them to go die. He didn't tell them to stop living here. He just said, if you don't like it, go back to where he's not saying
I'm drawing a blank on the word. What was the word, honey, that it really is? It's not racism. It was something else.
Can't remember.
I can't remember what it is either. Oh, xenophobia. He's xenophobic. He's afraid of people from other countries. And that's, kind of seems to be true when he puts these travel bans and stuff like that. But, I'm surprised you brought it to politics, but I'll tell you something. You're right about that, about social media, because this same recall that we're talking about, what the lady has done is she's created a bunch of fake accounts. And this is the hilarious part. She's Korean and the one lady that supports her is Korean and they don't speak really great English. And so they create these names, let's just say as an example, because I'm not going to give them publicity, but let's say one of the examples is, Jennifer Smith. And then when they talk, you can clearly tell that that's not Jennifer Smith. That person doesn't speak English very well, but they did it for one reason and one reason only. They want to be able to say whatever the fuck they want to say to whomever the fuck they want to say it to and not get in trouble, not be held responsible for their actions. Because you know what? If you can't find out who they are, you can't sue them for what they say, right?
Well, you can.
And they can make threats against you. And guess what? If they make threats against you, police can't do anything about it because they don't know who the fuck they are. So they do it so that they can get away with whatever they want to get away with. Whatever actions they take, they can get away with it. And that's becoming a huge problem. I read something recently that 65% of high schoolers have been bullied on social media. 65%. That's a lot.
The fact, and I'm speaking for myself, not just because I'm not trying to act like I'm better, but the fact that human beings allow literal code on an app to make them feel bad about themselves, that is a dangerous status quo. We cannot have, this is my thing. If you're a trained fighter, to an enough degree, you're not going to need to feel intimidated. If you do, you're not really that good at fighting. So for me, I just let people say what they want. I was car chased in a lift not even a month ago. Someone car chased me and I was just you're going to do this? Okay, to a standstill. Who gets out first? Like, in the old days, you could beat someone's ass in a bar for hitting on your wife. Now you can't. That's assault. So it's just crazy how words affect us more than violence does. Like, they're not the same. Obviously that shooting in El Paso really fucked up people's hearts. But I'm saying, like, actions seem to be almost as intense as, words seem to be almost as intense as actions. And it's crazy how it's happening.
Sure. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. But don't forget what happens with the internet in general, in my opinion, is it just amplifies what already goes on in society. So people who let's use like this. People who have a tendency to be pedophiles, they're even worse online. People who are racist, they're even worse online. People who are sexist, worse online. People who are bullies, worse online. And
people who are
the problem though, the problem
online.
becomes, I'm going to use the word again. I know you hate this word, honey, but I'm going to use the word again. The problem is society's showing that they're a bunch of pussies because once again, you disagree with someone. Oh, you're a bully. Why are we misusing the term bully? I mean, it's insulting to people who have been actually bullied. If you've ever had somebody like physically like knock books out of your hand or, you know, steal your lunch from you or your lunch money from you, and then someone calls another person a bully because they don't agree, that's the problem, is we're redefining what words actually mean.
Yeah, bully does not. A bully is somebody who lacks dignity, and they want to take that on somebody by making themselves feel better. That's what. So if you want to say I'm going to bully you in the cage, you're using the word wrong. You should say I'll do whatever I want to you in the cage. That's what you really. Because if you want to actually have your way, then just say I'll do whatever I want, because that implies you don't have a loss of, you know, dignity. That implies that you're confident. But a bully is like, I don't like my life and I hate adults, so therefore I'm just going to fuck with somebody because I want to.
Last thing for the night. You're an MMA fan. What did you think of the fights over this past weekend?
I could not be happier for Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz won that fight. I was at the fight for free. I was at a bar for free. I should have paid $5, but I got in. I kind of found a hack. But the whole time I'm watching this fight, everyone's like, "Go Pettis, go!" I'm like, you all think that Pettis is gonna tap out a black belt? You're all fucking on crack. The second that Nate Diaz gets a hold of his legs, he's fucked. And then sure enough, each time the RNC came, I was just like, man. And so I really want Nate to fight Conor or Jorge Masvidal, but Conor is pissing me the fuck off. Conor, why do you have to keep punching dudes? If you're in a bar and someone doesn't like your whiskey, fuck them. Just walk away. You don't have to punch an old man for disliking your whiskey, dude. You're a millionaire. Act like it.
Wow.
I think we need to have Brian and Jackson on at the same time.
Oh dear.
We have a guy that's on our podcast network. He has a show called Your Favorite Blockhead, and he is a real MMA fan. And he even will, if you let him, he'll go off and do like interview style commentary. He knows his stuff. His podcast mixes MMA and the Peanuts cartoon characters. He's obsessed with the Peanuts, and I love him because he understands MMA inside and out, and he has a passion for it. But he's a really good person, and he's super passionate about Peanuts. And I remember he told us why, you know, and you guys can go back and listen to one of the first episodes where Brian was on our podcast to find out why, because I'm not going to tell you here. But he told us why he was so into Peanuts. And you know, he has a lot of respect for, like, his heroes are like, you know, his dad and his grandfather, you know, those are his heroes. And I have a lot of respect for a guy that's like that, because like you were saying earlier, you know, too many people think their parents are assholes. And he understands why, you know, his parents handled him the way that they handled him. He's just a great all-around guy, and he doesn't ever miss an episode of the show. So he's going to hear everything that we just said and send me a Facebook message telling me, aw shucks. So Brian, don't send me an aw shucks. Say something else. It's more appropriate. So anyway, Jackson, I think you should come on a little more often. I think you should, make an effort to, at least once a month, try to get on here. Doesn't mean we're always going to accept you. Just kidding. We always accept pretty much anybody that applies. It depends. It depends. Actually, I've turned down about 3 people recently because I just say, what the heck would we talk to you about? Like, I don't understand what we would talk to you about. I mean, I don't know if you heard, we had an international model on, and she's from Australia, and that was an interesting show in some ways. Some ways. Well, it was. What was interesting was, like, we asked her a question about, you travel all over the place. Yeah. So what was the favorite place you've ever been? Las Vegas. That shocks me. Okay. Then we said, what's the most shocking thing you've seen when you travel? And she said that she went to Canada and that all the labels are in French and English. That was shocking to her. Well, if you know anything about Canada, you know why they're in French and English. It was just really interesting to me that the things that I would take for granted, she was just all into. Like Vegas. She loves Vegas. My guess, though, is that being a model and traveling in the circle that she travels in, she probably gets into clubs for free and, gets moved right to the front of the line, that sort of thing. And that's probably why she likes it, because she gets treated like a queen while she's there.
Probably.
But the Canadian thing was just bizarre. So anyway, man, thanks for being on tonight. And we appreciate it. Sorry we had such a hassle connecting, but I'm glad you're finally here. We had left you a message in the room in case you showed up last time and said, please reschedule for another time because you just disappeared. We didn't know what happened to you, but I guess you got locked out of your place. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell people where to find you, man. Tell people where to find you.
Everybody, I'm on Instagram at Jackson Horn. That is spelled JACKS as in soccer, N as in negate, Horn. So once again, Jackson Horn. I don't have the O in there because I think it sounds cool. I mean, I have Facebook, Jackson Horn. I don't think you want to add me on Facebook though, because we're not really buddies, but have that if you want to. I'm on Twitter at the Funny Horn. I just tweeted I wanted to buy some pot, but no one responded, so I deleted the tweets. But anyway,
wow.
I'll have a website pretty soon, but that's not until I get my software career off. But
sure.
I definitely will be in Denver in the next coming year, and I'll be pursuing comedy up there because I gotta just do it in a fresh environment.
Well, Denver's one of the places we're looking at moving to, so maybe we'll be neighbors.
What a fucking coincidence if that happens.
Anyway, well, again, thanks, man, for being on. We appreciate it. I can't see that. Oh, there we go.
I just saw a thing. Posting a bogus Instagram hoax won't exempt you from its terms of use. That's another story. Everyone's posting this dumb shit like, the Instagram's not going to use your pictures against you in court, you dumb fucks.
Not only that, it's like they actually think that Instagram has some way of reading that you posted that disclaimer. Give me a break.
Yeah, Instagram does not have the power of God. If they did, that'd be bad.
And note that there are more dumbasses in the world than non-dumbasses. Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.